Hi, I'm Claudia Fox, and I'm back today with a guest from the last show. We were talking about doing a series, and so, by golly, we're going to do it. She's just filled with information. I originally started this show because I wrote a book and interviewed people who were successful without a college degree. And I did find, as I've mentioned before, that entrepreneurial spirits are the key to getting things done in this world. And Terry Murphy is one of those people. She gets things done. We're both very service-oriented, and she created this incredible program. Well, welcome back, Terry.
I'm glad to be here. Thank you. You and I had so much to talk about last time. We just couldn't fit it all in. So Thank you for having me back. I appreciate it.
Wow. She's going to give us a recap so that for those of you who didn't see the first show, you'll have a little base of what we're talking about. So would you give us a recap of the Soulful Force?
My friend Christina Connors and I'm sorry, I started talking right over you. I got so excited. My friend Christina Connors and we came up with this thing called the Soulful Forest. And this is kind of a metaphor for our internal spiritual and emotional health journey, you know, a way of finding balance in everyday life. And one of the things that we try to remember is that we have to go in through the gratitude garden. The only way into this safe place is in through the gratitude garden, because all good things start in gratitude. And we spend time at the top of Mindful Mountain, where we appreciate here and now. And there are lots of places, the field of forgiveness, I have to forgive myself and others. The Tranquil Tree, where we get space between how we feel and what we choose to do and say. The River of Resilience is what I want to talk about today. The River of Resilience, because in life, no matter who you are, kid, adult, there's pain, there's loss, and there's fear. And we end up having to become a more resilient person. And the way we can do that is to go into the grief glen. Because when you experience loss, especially children that experience loss, they need a safe place to go where they can learn about their feelings and what they can safely do with those feelings. So that's what I want to talk to you about today.
Wow. Well, as I'm listening to you today, I'm mindful that I have a grandchild, my first grandchild, coming in August, a little granddaughter. And as soon as she can understand this, I'm going to be talking to her about it. I do want to get a book for her as well. This is so important for children.
Thank you.
And resilience. Let me ask you this. What are some of the statistics for children on grief?
Well, first of all, congratulations on being a grandma. That's the greatest thing in the I like being a grandma more than I ever liked being a mom, I'll tell you that. And I tell my kids that all the time. I like your kids more than I ever liked you. The statistics on this are kind of sobering. 1 in 13 children will experience the death of a sibling or a parent before age 18. And that information comes from the Children's Bereavement Estimation Model that's put out by an organization called Judy's House, J-U-D-I, Judy's House. And we're doing a much better job nowadays of helping children in grief. There are actually grief centers throughout the country, and we send this little Healing Chickadee program out to them. So there's a way for kids to get some help. And if you ever want to find out a little bit more about that, I have a mothership. My mothership on this is an organization called the National Alliance of Children's Grief. If you have a child who has experienced the death of a sibling, even a grandparent, any kind of death at an early age, the National Alliance of Children's Grief is an extraordinary website, and they have resources. And one of the resources that they have is our little organization called the Healing Chickadee.
Wonderful, wonderful. Would you like to expand a little on the resilience part?
Yeah.
Okay.
I want to tell you a personal story. My sister and I have worked on this together. When we were children, I was 10, my sister had just gone off to college. Our 16-year-old brother died very suddenly. He was well, and then he was gone like 3 weeks later. And because I was 10 years old, my mom, who recently passed away at age 91, said to me, I never worried about you because you were so young, I knew it wasn't going to bother you. And I love my mother, and God rest her soul. Nothing could be further from the truth. When we ignore children and the problems of trauma and grief at an early age, it can set things up for challenges not only at that time, but later in life. I didn't do real well in school. I sort of fell apart because my parents were falling apart at home. I was in a Catholic school, and often the nuns would say to me, how are your parents doing? And nobody ever said, how are you doing? Because kids, didn't have feelings, or that's the theory. And so things were really not ministered to. So as I grew older, and one of the things I like about growing older, and there's not a lot of great things about it. There's the mustache, and there's really not a lot of great things about growing older, but the wisdom that you get by looking back, and then the ability to take your experience, strength, and hope, and turn it for the good for somebody. So my sister and I created this thing called the Healing Chickadee. And if you know a child that has lost someone, you can let me know, and we send this out. It's a little box. It's this cute little box, the Healing Chickadee, and it's got air holes, so the plush bird can breathe. There was a child that made that up. They said, you got to put air holes or the bird can't breathe. It was really cute. So this is our Healing Chickadee, and one of the reasons we chose the chickadee is because it's a cute, sweet little bird, like kids are cute and sweet, and it's also very resilient. You talk about resilience. They are able to withstand really cold temperatures. They will stay north in the cold, so they do really well. And attached to this is like the strength of kids and the cuteness of kids. There's a little note attached. So the child will open this up and read. I won't read the whole thing to you, but I'm your little chickadee, here to talk about healing, giving you some guidance to help express your feelings. And it goes on like that from there, and it says, love, Dee Dee, your chickadee. And my sister, she does all the poetry because she was an English teacher for 40 years, and every time I try to do a poem, she goes, that's terrible. That's the worst thing I've ever heard. So she does all the writing and the poetry for this. So this shows up, and there's also a letter to the adult. And the letter to the adult directs them to an online safe space. And at the online safe space, that's how people can get in touch. That's healingchickadee.com, and that's our little Dee Dee, the chickadee. And she has a group of friends called the Tweethearts. And I'd like to introduce you to her group of friends. In this, the parent or the adult will go to this website, and they will meet Raina the robin, who will talk about shock, and Pete the painted bunting talks about rituals. For example, when someone dies in a child's life, do they participate in the funeral or do they not? Is it a different kind of funeral? How do you talk to kids about that, and how much do they participate? Those are difficult discussions to have, so these videos help parents and kids communicate and connect in a way that is helpful, so that the children know they have a safe space. So these are all of the Healing Chickadees, and there's a little breathing exercise, and all of this is online. And there's little Tweetheart love notes that they can print out and cut, and they can put in their pocket, so they always have a Tweetheart with them at all times to remind them that they are never alone. That's the message we have to get to kids and adults that are grieving. You are not alone. We're here for you. And then, this is one of my favorite parts, there's music. These are music videos. My friend Christina Connors and I, who came up with the Soulful Forest together, she's a singer. She sounds like a Disney singer. And we are friends with a gentleman named David Friedman. David Friedman is a Disney composer, and he is allowing us to use all of these songs. So these are music videos as well as those videos, and there's also real-life bird information, because I think what I would have needed as a 10-year-old was somebody to take me out, take a walk around the block, and look for birds. Even if we didn't find the bird, even if we didn't find one of these kinds of birds, the ability to connect with an adult by walking around and looking up would have made an enormous difference for me.
Wow. Do you deal with children who've lost a parent through divorce?
That's a really good question. That's a really good question. This particular program really focuses specifically on the death of a loved one, but I think if a child and an adult were to look all of this, Trust the Wind, A Different Light. Here's one of my favorite songs, It's Not Bad to Be Sad. And that's really important to say to kids. One of our signature songs is called Help Is on the Way. And some of the lyrics on that, help is on the way from places you don't know about today, from friends you may not have met yet. Believe me when I say, help is on the way. And I think you're an embodiment of that, because one of the things that I know about you in our relationship together, you are all about service. So you embody all of that. Help is on the way from places you don't know about today. And that spiritual part of you, that your heart is open to whatever it is that where you can be of service, you do that. And that's one of the things I like about you a lot. And I think that's one of the reasons you and I connect. Yeah,
right.
Absolutely.
Absolutely, yes. So where do you send these?
We started out, this is all part of a nonprofit, because my husband, he's so cute, he said, this is the most expensive menopause project I've ever seen in my life. He said, the amount of money that you have spent on birds and boxes and stuff like that, it's not a money-making thing, it's a passionate, it's a purpose and passion. And I think that helping is healing. Even at my age, and I don't mind telling you, I'm 63 years old. This happened when I was 10, so this is 53 years ago. This still resonates with me. This is still painful for me. And at the time, feeling, I'm sorry, I'm getting a little emotional. I apologize.
Never apologize for feeling.
Thank you. This is healing for me, because when I send these birds out, and my 7-year-old granddaughter helps me put the birds in the boxes, and she wraps the notes around, and we listen to music at the time. And when we put the birds in the boxes, we always attach love to it. And that's really healing for me. We send this out to people that will go to healingchickadee.com. You can order it through that. Or one of the places that I never expected for this to go through was funeral homes. Funeral directors will hand these out to kids and families that may have, that there's little ones that are being affected by the death of a loved one. They hand that out, and that's something that's really powerful for them to be able to give to a family. And then all of those grief centers throughout the country, they have grief camps, which I would have loved when I was a kid. That would have been lovely, where you get together with other kids who've also lost a parent, because there's so many, or a sibling, there's so many commonalities that I remember when after my brother died, I went to a slumber party, and slumber parties and adolescent girls, there's always a seance. I don't know what it was about that at the time, but they always tried to bring my brother back. And I didn't have the ability at that time to say, please don't do that. That freaks me out. Don't do that. And then, I would leave the room, and then all of them would start screaming and say, your brother just came back. Those are kinds of little things that I wish I could have gone home and said to my parents. They tried to bring me, but I couldn't talk to anybody. There was no one to talk to. So this program is about communication and connection with a trusted adult, because they may have just lost their most trusted adult. So that's one of the things that's been, the kids they're dealing with things that we don't even know about, because we're dealing with our own grief as adults,
Right.
So.
What are some things, like, I'm watching this show, and I think, wow, this is a great program, or my child can use this. Well, what can I do? How can I go about helping you?
I have some suggestions, because, I'm full of information, I always have suggestions, right? One of the things, and I think everybody always says, I don't know what to say when someone dies. The go-to is, I'm sorry for your loss. And that's a really lovely thing to say, I'm sorry for your loss. One of the things that one of my aunts had said to me was, your brother wouldn't want you to be so sad. Stop crying. So it would have been really helpful if she would have said to me, it's okay that you're feeling sad. We can talk about it if you want. Because that's an open-ended thing. People, and I think we do this, we're uncomfortable when people are crying. We're uncomfortable when strong emotions are being shown. You're not, because I was getting emotional and you said it's really okay. But there's a lot of times people are like, oh, I'm sorry. You try to stop it. And wouldn't it just be more precious and wonderful if, when a person becomes emotional, especially in grief, if we just sat there and said, I'm here. I hear you. and then let them cry. Let their nose run. Hand them a tissue, don't hand them a tissue, let them feel what they feel. Because I think when we hold that kind of stuff back, it actually bubbles up in a way that's really unhealthy. And I think for kids, it ends up as stomach aches, headaches, poor performance in school. They lose interest in things. I remember when, you know, I keep going back to my own childhood because this is what really informed this program, but we went to a 6th grade graduation thing, and there was a comedian, a magician comedian, and all the kids were laughing and giggling and having a good time. And I remember the feeling so strongly of, I was so anxious, I was so nervous, I needed to get back home. My mom and dad were really upset, and I needed to get back home, and there was that childhood enjoyment was just gone. And what I'm hoping this program does through videos and music and that important connection with the trusted adults around them is that they can learn to enjoy life again, that it's okay to be joyful, it's okay to giggle, it's okay to laugh. And I really didn't have that guidance. And I'm not, God bless my parents, I can't, as a mom myself, I cannot even imagine. I can't imagine what they were going through every day. My mother trying to put one foot just in front of the other. I'm not judging that. I'm just wishing that it had brought our family closer together rather than the opposite. So.
Yeah, I have heard that oftentimes when there's a loss of a child, that the parents end up getting divorced. Because they don't know how to cope with it. And just seeing each other reminds them of that loss. So it is a very, very difficult process. And feelings, I personally have worked through many issues by actually feeling my feelings. Like if I'm triggered, excuse me, in the present, by something that I know is from my past. I mean, if I stuff it, maybe I'll want to eat something or distract myself by doing something else. That all, as I see it, it just keeps going down, down, until people are depressed.
Yes.
And I am rarely depressed, and if I'm depressed, it's for good reason. And I have a cheerful outlook because I get rid of the feelings. I'll just cry through them. And there is a beginning and a middle and an end. When I'm in the middle, I think it'll never end, but it always does, and much quicker than I think. And I think that's what we need to teach children. Like you said, it's okay to have those feelings. They push it down, and I think that's how addictions start.
I agree. There's a lot of information about children, childhood loss and trauma and addiction. And I can't remember the show. The other day there was a gentleman talking about, he was in prison, and he had done something, it was an aggressive thing that he had done, and he was in jail. And the interviewer, I wish I could remember what show this was on, he was talking about how his dad died when he was a kid, and how, you know what I mean, like that, and maybe, I don't remember if it was through violence or whatever, but his unmet need for some kind of connection so that he could begin to control his emotions was I don't think it can be overstated. I think it's just really important. Yeah.
I think that is how we have so many crimes, that the kids don't know what to do with it. They stuff it, and it's like a tea kettle, just keeps, and then all of a sudden it blows, and they kill somebody,
right,
or beat them up.
And I think, and I don't have any statistics on this, it's just anecdotal, but it seems to me that boys are more likely to act out, and girls are more likely to go in, so that could be depression, overeating, drinking too much, it could be a lot of different things. I've got a couple more here. Can I go through it? Because I think we want to empower people on what they can say that would be helpful. When we say to somebody, I completely get what you're going through, we don't really know what they're going through. So a better way to respond to that is, you know, grief is different for everybody. What's it been like for you? And then shut up and just listen. Don't try to fix it. Don't try to change it. Let them go through it. I think well-meaning people, they try to get you to stop crying because they think that's never going to end. But like you just said a minute ago, there's a beginning, a middle, and an end. And when you have that self-compassion, I think that's really important, and that's one of the things we're trying to teach here is self-compassion. And when parents can model that, and when they show children this, the adults say that they've gotten as much out of these cute little videos because they're dealing with their grief, either from their childhood or that particular situation. So it's really helpful for everybody. Another thing people will say is, you must be so sad. And rather than assume that you know what they're feeling, you can say, I don't know what you're going through right now, but I'm here to listen if you want to share with me. And then again, those open-ended questions and then being quiet. This is the one that drives me crazy. Everything happens for a reason. You might as well say to somebody, shut up, you know, like, just stop it. You could try something different, like, you know, when people die, it can leave a real big space in your life. What is something that I could do or say that would comfort you right now? You know, just really, how can I show up for you? What is it that you need? And when you think about all of these things, you can apply this to not even death, you can apply this to marriage. You know, like a husband saying to me, I don't know, my parents just died last year. My husband was really good about, you know, just tell me, just talk to me, just say, you know, like going through memories and maybe things that I have told him before, but God bless him, he'd sit there and listen to it like it's the first time he's heard it. He's just wonderful. Around the holidays, rather than assume the holidays are going to be hard, oh, the holidays are going to be so hard for you. I'm happy to see you. I know holidays can be hard. How are you? Do you have any special plans? Is there anything I can do to help? You know what I mean? It puts a whole different thing. There's one that everybody says, which is a good one. I'm sorry for your loss. You can also say, I have no words that will make it better, but just know that I'm here for you to support you in any way that I can. And those are just, if you want to write those down, you know, if you're at home and you want to write those down, because in the moment, we just look at somebody who's sad or crying, or you see somebody at a grocery store and you know their mom just died, you know, to be able to say, I'm here, you know, I'm here for you. That would be lovely. And that's kind of the point of this entirely, actually.
Well, if someone would like those, they can just email me or call me, and I'll get a copy from you, and I'll just email it out to them.
That sounds great. Thank you.
Because that is worth its weight in gold.
It's really helpful. It's really helpful. And I try to blog. I'm an older person. I don't know if you know that, but I'm an older person. And this whole social media blogging things, I was sitting with two 15-year-old girls the other day, and I said, you know, I blog about certain things, you know, having to do with children and grief and stuff. And they said, do you put hashtags on it? I go, what's that? What's a hashtag? You know, so I said, if you could help more people, if you could learn how to use a hashtag. So they explained it to me, and I still don't understand it. So I'm thinking about, she said that she wanted to do community service hours by helping me with social media. I said, how to help an old person with social media. I think that's a really good community service idea for you. So I have this young 15-year-old girl that's going to help bring me into this century. It's nice.
That is wonderful. I mean, my only thought, for example, about TikTok, that it might disappear. I'm like, phew. I missed the whole thing from beginning to end, and now, you know, it's going okay. And I'm sure people will make money from it. They do great things from it, but I just never quite got that, or the hashtag. I'm really showing
She said to me, she goes, you should tweet. I go, I should tweet. That would be a good thing. And she goes, do you have, right. She goes, do you have Instagram? I go, Instapot? I have an Instapot. I make casseroles in it. I don't know what you're talking about. So 15, if you want anything, you know, regarding that, you need somebody under the age of 30, and they'll help you with it.
Go to a high school.
That's right. Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah. Well, is there anything I missed asking you that, or you think there's something you want to add before we close?
No, just know that help is on the way from places you may not know about today. And yeah, I think that's important. And birds with words, if you can get some birds with words that have videos and music, and remember, it's not bad to be sad.
Right.
Right.
Now, what's the website?
It's
that
called
they can go?
healingchickadee.com. Healingchickadee.com.
Okay.
You can write to me at healingchickadee@gmail.com, and we will talk about. I'd love to hear people's stories, because stories are powerful, and when someone either writes them or tells them, we can put them on the website. We can put something about the person that they loved. We can put something like that, a memorial on the website. Whatever it takes, yeah.
Terrific.
Thank you.
Well, thank you again.
Thank you. This was fun.
And we are going to do this again. I think we're just scratching the surface.
Yeah.
There's so much depth to this program. And we're going to meet some of the people, like, are we going to meet
Christina Connors, who sings these songs. She's absolutely amazing and charming, and she's working on her own program of social emotional regulation and helping children get regulation on their emotions and find balance in their life. She's working with preschoolers, so she's got a lot to talk about with that too.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. I did see the movie Frozen, and the singer was incredible. And I think that Christine Connors is just like that.
She does. She sounds just like her. She's extraordinary. I'm so blessed to have her. And don't you notice when you're doing what it is that you were meant to do, people come into your life. Christina came into my life. David Friedman, who wrote the music, a Disney composer, came into my life. You came into my life. I think that it's absolutely true that help is on the way from friends you may not have met yet. And when we keep our heart and our mind open to that, all kinds of miraculous things happen. So I'm really grateful to be here. Thank you.
Yeah. So look for the miracle in your day, and feel free to contact us. We love having Terry and making her regular, and I enjoyed being with you and learning more about the program. So thank you again, and have a great day.